Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Premanande ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, verse Adya Lila, chapter 17, verse 158. The chapter is called Pastimes of the Lord in His Youth. Please repeat. Tomara vedete ace govata revani. Ata eva govata karibada vadamuni. Tomara vedete ace govade ravani. Ata eva govata karibada vadamuni. Tomara vedete ace govade ravani. Ata eva govata karibada vadamuni. Tomara vedete, in your Vedic literatures, ace there is, govadera for cow killing, vani injunction, ata eva therefore, govata cow killing, kare does, bada bada very very great, muni sages. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. As a learned scholar, the Kazi challenged Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Quote, in your Vedic scriptures, there is an injunction for killing a cow. On the strength of this injunction, great sages perform sacrifices involving cow killing. Please repeat. As a learned scholar, the Kazi challenged Caitanya Mahaprabhu. In your Vedic scriptures, there's an injunction for killing a cow. On the strength of this injunction, great sages perform sacrifices involving cow killing. There's no purport, so I keep reading. Prabhu kahe vedeka govada nisheda ata eva hindu matra nakare govada. Translation. Refuting the Qazi's statement, the Lord immediately replied, the Vedas clearly enjoin that cows should not be killed. Therefore, any Hindu, whoever he may be, does not indulge in cow killing. I repeat the verse again. Refuting the Qazi's statement, the Lord immediately replied, the Vedas clearly enjoin that cows should not be killed. Therefore, any Hindu, whoever he may be, does not indulge in cow killing. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedic scriptures, there are concessions for meat eaters. It is said that if one wants to eat meat, he should kill a goat before the goddess Kali, then eat its meat. Meat eaters are not allowed to purchase meat or flesh from a market or slaughterhouse. There are no sanctions for maintaining regular slaughterhouses to satisfy the tongues of meat eaters. As far as cow killing is concerned, it is completely forbidden. Since the cow is considered a mother, how could the Vedas allow cow killing? Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that the Qazi's statement was faulty. In Bhagavad Gita, there's a clear injunction that cows should be protected. Krishi Goraksha Vanijyam Vaishya Karma Sabhabajam. The duty of Vaishyas is to produce agricultural products, trade, and give protection to cows. That is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 44. Therefore, it is a false statement that the Vedic scriptures contain injunctions permitting cow killing. So, I made a few notes for myself. I got a short notice to give this class. So the purport itself is very obvious and very clear for most of us, hopefully. There's a fundamental criteria here, cow protection. And Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada quotes this particular verse. There are some other verses also which I like to there's so much to say and so many Vedic Shastric evidences about protecting the cows and what the cows mean, especially for civilized human beings. Unfortunately, for ignorant class of men, it's one of the foodstuff. Sadly, they're slaughtering the cows for the palate of the tongue. That due to gross ignorance. It's such an ignorance, it's incredible. It's Kali Yuga is such a fallen age that we came to the point that killing our mother, according to Vedic culture, we have 7 mothers. And so one of the, we have Mother Earth, we have the original mother, Mother Earth, Mother Cow, we have the nurse, the wife of the king, wife of the Brahmin. So they're natural mothers. So we respect them, we even worship them. We can see that there are certain descriptions for worshipping Mother Earth, Bhumi Puja, offering respects to our parents. It's just part of our, not just the Vedic psychology, but our civilized society, what we call civilized. And civilization is not a civilization without understanding its basic core principles of respecting a mother. So modern civilizations, what we call civilizations, are really uncivilized. It's not really civilized. And when one indulges in gross simple activities just to gratify one's tongue, then he dismisses, neglects any other injunctions. Naturally, the consequences are very heavy. We can see so much suffering going on in many different levels. And so I put something together here, a few verses I selected, why it is so important to, especially for our preaching work, to explain it to people inquiring about Vedic culture, why we're having this Vaishnava Siddhanta, Vaishnava philosophy, and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to attain, why we're preaching Krishna consciousness. People ask me these questions, especially when we're distributing books. People often put these questions up: why we are vegetarians, why we are worshipping the cow. Not necessarily malicious, but they have these questions. Obviously, most people kind of ignorant. They not necessarily mean anything, not necessarily demonic, just misled by the current civilization. So this chapter, as we read the previous verses and the following verses after this, a very interesting dialogue between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Kazi, and how Kazi trying to challenge the Vedic principles, and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refuting Kazi's statements. Obviously, there's some things that can be misunderstood, especially in Kali Yuga, because there's so many Vedic descriptions about sacrifices, especially when we're going back to Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, where there were Ashwamedha sacrifice, horse sacrifices, various sacrifices. But there was an objective. It was not for slaughtering creatures for the palate of the tongue. It was actually, there was a Vedic objective. Either help that particular creature, animal, to attain a better life, or was an offering. There was reasons. But in Kali Yuga, this is not forbidden. This is forbidden. This is forbidden. Because it's such a contaminated age that we cannot distinguish very clearly what is sacrifice. What is sacrifice? So in Kali Yuga, one is forbidden many things actually. As Srila Prabhupada explains a bit later on, is that in this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden. The offering of a horse in sacrifice, the offering of a cow in sacrifice, the acceptance of the order of sannyas, the offering of oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and a man's begetting children in his brother's wife. These are forbidden. So, and especially cow killing. It's such a gross, simple act. Ugra karma. And our whole civilization, our modern civilization, very much engrossed in this way of life, and we can see the consequences are very heavy all around the world. We can see so much violence and suffering going on, sadly. So the devotees feel very pain in their heart, how we could help the world, how we can relieve the suffering of humanity. But it all comes down to enlightening them about these Vedic principles. First of all, one should give up simple activities. It is impossible to contemplate or make any spiritual progress until one is very much engrossed in these gross sinful activities, especially cow killing. So we have to get this message through. For us, it's very obvious. It's incredibly painful to see the world indulging in these, especially in the Western world. Especially in the Western world, because in the Western world we have the facilities, technologies. So I made a few points here just to support this short purport, Srila Prabhupada's. Obviously, Srila Prabhupada's purports are very clear, and so much to say, but there's complementing, supporting verses in different parts of the Vedas. Just like in this verse, this verse comes from an important dialogue between Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and a Muslim Qazi, where the Qazi argued that the Vedic scriptures permit animal slaughter. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu refuted this claim, asserting that the Vedas explicitly prohibit cow killing. The purport provides a deeper understanding of the Vedic view on this matter, emphasizing sanctity of the cow and the prohibition of its slaughter. The Vedas prohibit cow killing because a cow is revered as a mother. She provides milk, which is essential for human sustenance, and thus she is accorded a status of respect and protection. Srila Prabhupada explains that cow protection is integral to Vedic culture. It is an obligation for every Hindu to uphold this principle. It is said Hindu, but it's really every civilized human. Concession. For meat eaters, the Vedic scriptures do provide concessions for those who cannot abstain from meat. However, these concessions are heavily regulated. For example, one may kill a goat before the goddess Kali, then consume its meat. The ritual acknowledges the sin involved in taking an animal's life and is meant to gradually elevate individuals to higher understanding, leading them away from meat consumption. So you can see the Vedas were full of regulations, but the regulations had an objective to gradually raise the consciousness, not just individuals, but the collective psyche of that particular era of civilization. Because you can see different yugas, there were certain sacrifices were recommended. And as degradation, as the three modes of nature manifesting, especially in a macro scale of society, we can look at Kali Yuga. Mode of ignorance is what? It's a greater percentage than any other yugas. So the sacrifice is recommended accordingly. And as we all know, the great blessings of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Panchatattva, the holy name Sri Nam descended for the benefit of humanity, benefit of sincere seekers who are very fatigued with material life. They want to have a solution. And there are many people out there, we just have to be there for them, facilitate them, encourage them to take a book, come to the temple, have the association of Vaishnavas, and hear about Siddhanta, hear about the principles of Vedic culture, and how to become actually a civilized human being. Without that, it's not possible. It's not possible for not only spiritual progress, but it's not possible to be peaceful, happy, not to speak of creating peace in the world. There's so much suffering going on, and you can see even in the news worldwide there's so much violence going on. And we can see this is the culmination of sinful activities. It's so clear to us, because the karma is very heavy. There's no provision in the Vedas for the establishment of slaughterhouses. So in Vedic times there was no such a thing as established slaughterhouses. There were regulations for meat eaters, as Srila Prabhupada also explains. There were some other creatures, other animals could be sacrificed, but then the person had to be aware of the sin, the magnitude of the sin, because there's no question of violence against other sentient beings. We have no permission. And if it does, if one is addicted to these rajasic, tamasic eating habits, then one may be permitted to do certain things, but never the cow. Never the cow. There's no such a thing, cow killing. Slaughterhouses where animals are killed to satisfy the tongue are a deviation from Vedic principles. Such practices are not only against Vedic injunctions but also contribute to the degradation of society. So, Srila Prabhupada cites Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, 44, which outlines the duties of a Vaishya class. This is very important. Srila Prabhupada, as we all know, reading his purports and listening to his classes, emphasizing the Varna ashram system, gradually, as devotees we should be conscious of it and work for it, work towards it, because the Varna ashram society is a very scientific, Daivi Varna ashram, conscious progress, where we can, number one, cow protection, protecting the Brahmanas, protecting the mothers, and it's all protection. Namo Brahmanya Go Brahmana Hitaya Charagadita, which outlines the duties of a Vaishya class. Krishi Goraksha Vanijyam Vaishya Karma Svabhavajam. Farming, cow protection, and trade are the natural duties of Vaishyas. This verse emphasizes that cow protection is a core responsibility in Vedic society, illustrating that cow killing is very sinful according to Vedic principle. This verse clearly underscores the importance of cow protection in Vedic culture, highlighting it as a duty for the Vaishyas, who are responsible for the economic backbone of society. You know, Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita in different sections, chapter 3, verse 13, Yagna Shishasti Shinaha Santu Muchanti Sarva Kirvishai Ujante Tad Akham Papa Ye Pachanti Atma Karanat. Translation. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. So Krishna makes it very clear that even just the idea of personal enjoyment is a sin, even if it's a so-called vegetarian. We always have to make the sacrifice, the offering, even just out of gratitude, not to speak of as a duty. Now, living entities are supplied by the Lord. We have to acknowledge that. Everything is provided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the sustainer of this entire cosmic manifestation. We can see even the great devas and devis are always busy offering sacrifices, offering prayers, and requesting the Lord's blessings. There's so many samskaras, so many Vedic sacrifices, just to appease the Lord Narayan, to bless human society. Great Raja Rishis, no wonder they performed the great sacrifices, especially Treta Yuga. There were great sacrifices. In Dwapara Yuga we had the deity, temple worship, very opulent. It's always a great opulence, celebration, and expressing the gratitude to the Supreme Personality of Godhead that He kindly provides for the empire, for the human civilization. The great Raja Rishis were very conscious. We can see there's so many good examples. Prithu Maharaj, for example. All great Raja Rishis. In the Vedas are many classics showing ultimately Ramaraj, Lord Ramachandra, established the Varna ashram. In Satya Yuga, there was no such a thing as a Varna ashram. Everyone was in a mode of goodness. Treta Yuga, the lower modes are manifesting. There were clear distinction between Raja, Tama, Sattva. So the Brahmanas, the intellectual class, the guardians of Vedic knowledge, mode of goodness, purity of consciousness, saintliness, as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, qualities of a Brahmana, see all the beautiful qualities, the ideals of human society, they were obviously manifesting, and then the Vaishya class, also the Kshatriya class manifesting. So the Lord Ramachandra, actually from that era, the Varna ashram became more clear, resembling very clearly, as the yugas manifesting, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, wow. Obviously it's a Sudra thing going on because of mode of ignorance. Caitanya Mahaprabhu also says, in Kali Yuga, everyone was born of Sudra. This just the disqualification we have, because Sudra means, in this context, mode of ignorance. And that's why we're having these massive, macro-scale sinful activities all around the world. And Srimad Bhagavatam is also very important to recall. There's so many nice verses complementing this particular purport. Chapter 1, Canto 1, Chapter 17, verse 3. Triyam Brahma Vatmastham Gavam Lohita Padavat Dharmam Mahapurusha Padam Nasya Nripa Mandire. Translation. Then he, Dharma, in the form of a bull, begged for the protection of the cow, which was in distress, with tears in her eyes, being beaten by the wicked. This verse depicts the plight of the cow in the age of Kali and underscores the importance of cow protection as an essential aspect of Dharma. Srimad Bhagavatam. This is another beautiful verse, Canto 10, Chapter 8, verse 16. Nandaha svaputram adaya pretyagatam udaratihi murdini upagraya ramam murtam lepe gurudvaha. Translation. Nanda Maharaj, who was naturally liberal and simple, took his son Krishna on his lap and was overwhelmed with love. He kissed Krishna's head and experienced the highest pleasure. This verse, though focused on Krishna, reflects the Vedic perspective that values simplicity, love, and protection of those who are dependent on us, such as children and animals like the cow. See, the Vedic culture was very a nurturing process. Everyone was protected. So you can see Krishna himself is a protective personality. He's always protecting his devotees. It's obviously when one is in Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, and not to speak of loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of God, naturally he is giving shelter to others, especially the weaker section, the dependents. Therefore the cows have to be protected. And the children, family unit has to be protected. So, and the Brahmins, because the Brahmins they're dedicating their whole life to the service of Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, service to the welfare of all living entities. But generally the Brahmins in Vedic culture, they were very saintly. Of course, now we make this distinction, Brahmana. We have to say Vaishnava Brahmana because there's so many people now may come to the point of goodness, but not necessarily Vaishnavas. They may have a different understanding and not exactly there yet. Maybe Brahman realization, Brahmavadi, versus Mayavadi. So, but the Vaishnavas obviously in a transcendental position, more than just a Brahmana. But nevertheless, they possess the qualities of a Brahmana: truthfulness, knowledge, purity, titikshava, tolerance, and very compassionate. Generally the Brahmanas are very much eager to preach Krishna consciousness, spreading knowledge. They cannot bear a moment without preaching. They have to tell, they have to share the knowledge of Krishna consciousness with others. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have the facilities, we have books, we have so many beautiful temples and facilities, so we can somehow or other share this transcendental wisdom, knowledge. This is the only solution. Without Krishna consciousness, no one can be happy. And only a preacher can understand that. When we're dealing with the world, when we're confronting the material world, we see how much suffering going on, so much suffering going on. So a devotee feels compassion, not to speak of love. But to feel compassion, we already have to have some kind of love and understanding for the conditioned souls in the material world. Because they actually, they've fallen away from the proper consciousness. Any jiva takes birth in Kali Yuga, definitely a fallen soul. So, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's a powerful process. If we take shelter, and taking shelter means many things, obviously. It's taking shelter of the devotees, taking shelter of the spiritual master, receiving divya jnana, transcendental knowledge. The holy name is always there for us. We have to take shelter, not to waste a moment. Srila Prabhupada emphasizing, as soon as you have time, chant the holy names of God, holy names of Krishna. So much to do. So a devotee is occupied with these transcendental activities. And this is how we attract the minds of the conditioned souls. Purity is the force. And the devotee is very much engaged in devotion service with all his heart, best of his consciousness, capacity. And then there is a hope that we can have an impact on the world. If we have strong faith in the holy name, Sri Nam Sankirtan, Prasadam distribution, they're all transcendental means to touch not only the intellect but their hearts. Somehow we can have an impact on the people. And we can see that we all have some experience that when we're distributing Srila Prabhupada's books or Prasadam, people often they change on the spot. They feel something with us. They're attracted to us. So we have to be there for them. And this is how we get the attention of Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur going door to door and begging the conditioned souls, tolerating all this disrespect and abuse. Please chant the holy names of Shri Hari, Lord Krishna, Hare Krishna. Because this is the only hope. The transcendental vibration, the transcendental prasadam, this replaces all the sinful desires. Because you see, without that, as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, we are people addicted to these sinful activities. They don't know anything else. So Kazi putting all these arguments, then if you read the chapter later on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just simply cuts them through. Because, there's no question of any spiritual progress or enlightened knowledge until one indulges in sinful activities. In the Vedas, there's no such a thing, cow killing, although, as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purports later and other verses here, that there will obviously talk about the previous yugas, but the atmosphere is very pure, sattvic. The Brahmins had power, they had potencies. They could do certain sacrifices with an old cow to revive that soul. So they had particular experimentations, and they were very powerful. Not in Kali Yuga. Like in Kali Yuga, we're not allowed to do these things. We have no potency, we have no strength, no purity, comparatively. So the only thing we can do, that's what Srila Prabhupada says also, all these things are forbidden, straight forbidden. No one can imitate Dwapara Yuga or Trecha Yuga. We don't have those potencies. We don't have such highly evolved, qualified Brahmanas. The only hope for this world is somehow understand the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and live by those principles. This is the only way to minimize the ugra karma of this world. And ugra karma naturally means suffering. Consequences are very heavy. And this whole civilization, you can see, so-called technological advancement or whatever we have here now, the consequences are very heavy. It's just creating crisis, economical crisis, financial crisis, health crisis, ecological crisis. It's all crisis. The material existence means crisis because we engage in simple activities, ignorance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it very clear to Kazi, there is no such a thing, cow killing in this. There's no such a thing. Cow is a mother. And not only just a sentiment, it's actually she's a mother. Without cows, no question of civilized beings. Srila Prabhupada also says in his lectures that generally the Brahmanas tend to be with the cows always. The psychology of the Brahmana is to be with the cows or be around the cows. They lived in villages, lived very simply, purely, mode of goodness, and they were cultivating knowledge. They're very pure. So the cows just simply part of their lifestyle. They weren't definitely preaching about cow protection. Like Krishna also says, Goraksha, the cow protection, very important aspect of Vaishya, Varna. So because it's very important that the cows are protected. Without that, there's no question of civilization. So this purport makes it very clear. Until cow killing is going on, there's no civilization. It is so-called civilization. That's not civilization means understanding these Vedic principles and respecting it and following through and live by it. Otherwise, when there's no proper civilization, God-conscious civilization, there's no question of happiness or peace. There's going to be tribulations of all kinds, individually and collectively. And so any intelligent person should give an attention to to these details. There's not just some stories out of, no, they're actually very important conversations going on here with Kazi. So I advise you to read the previous verses again, and so it's nice to see the whole chapter, because it's all connected to one another. So Kazi is challenging. I mean, of course, he had great respect for Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He felt his presence, but these challenges were just out of ignorance. So Caitanya Mahaprabhu just makes it really clear, cuts it through. No such a thing. Not in Kali Yuga especially. There's no cow killing. We have to give up sinful activities. We all remember that room conversation when Srila Prabhupada was in Paris with that cardinal. How he was trying to defend the meat-eating habits of Christianity. And Srila Prabhupada just explained it very clearly. That there's no question of any spiritual progress or love of Godhead until we engage in these gross sinful activities. How can you love God when you engage in simple activities like killing mother cow? So the cardinal, he couldn't exactly comprehend. It's so simple. So obviously he himself was very much indulging in this, because you need to have we need to receive this knowledge. We need to make ourselves ready. But until one is engaged in this simple activity, it's very difficult to understand even the very basics of spiritual life. Unless a merciful Vaishnava comes in and cuts it for us. Guru also means heavy, cuts it with knowledge, makes it very clear for us. And that's what you can see, the great acharyas, the Mahabhagavata acharyas in our line, especially since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're very bold. And we can see Bhakti Siddhanta and Ashrila Prabhupada. He cuts the illusion, cuts the fog of illusion of this modern society. Srila Prabhupada definitely defeated the scientists and all kinds of, misinterpretations. And the Mayavada, so you can see how all kinds of challenges going on. They're all just distractions from the proper path, Vaishnava path. So I'd like to conclude here. Is there any questions or comments? There are many beautiful verses on this if you actually do a bit more research in the Veda base on supporting cow protection. There's so many beautiful purports by Srila Prabhupada. There's a very extensive topic, by the way, so
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. Very nice class. I just want to give a comment here.
Yeah.
Because of the vision of Prabhupada, we have the cow protection so much going on around the world. People are getting aware of it. And now in UK, they have a cow therapy kind of thing is coming up.
Yes.
Cow therapy, by stressing, you can release the stress level and everything. So this is quite good thing, Prabhupada mercy, that we are getting aware, people are getting aware of simple and high living. Yeah.
Yes.
Simple thinking.
This kind of things happening, but really, the most important to understand the philosophy of this, who Mother Cow is, and the therapy or whatever. They are there, but that's not the main focus. The main focus is actually understand the cow, the importance of cow, sacredness, mother. The entire Vedic culture, the entire Vedic civilization based on cow protection. Without cow, there's no question of Vedic civilization. It's such an integral part, as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, integral part of the entire Vedic psychology. The cow is there. And the cow has been with humanity since time memorial. There's no such a thing. It's just basically descending from the spiritual world. You can see the Goloka Vrindavan. There's just cows everywhere. It's not something that had to be domesticated. Cows is part of the human psyche, really. Cows are always there. Without cows, we're not even human beings, really. Therefore, the civilized human beings looking for cows, mother cow. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, all Vedic performances are based on cows' products, yes.
Exactly. Everything is without ghee, without agni, without this, without important ingredients, not to speak of the milk. How can you do any sacrifice whatsoever? So it's so important. Everything about the cow is so important. We cannot exist without a cow. There's no such a thing. And here we are, this ignorant civilization, sadly, dares to slaughter the cow. Such ignorance we are, such tamasic environment. And we have to be convinced of this. We have to see this. Then we can preach. We can somehow or other help others to make it clear, enlighten them. Otherwise, very difficult. All right. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.